Hello everyone, welcome to Kevin's Clips and Quips. In today's video, we will be covering Victor Davis Hanson in his own words as he talks about the war with Iran, oil, and OPEC. Take a look.
OPEC, the United Arab Emirates is talking about getting out of OPEC, which is the Organization of Petroleum Producing Countries, I believe is what it stands for. And they're Middle Eastern countries. And United Arab Emirates has said we're tired of the restrictions on how much we produce, so we might just leave this. And that is a huge change since 1973. And I was wondering your thoughts on
Yeah,
it.
there's 23, I think, producers in it, and they control about half the world's oil.
Hello everyone. I thought I would take a second and give a quick review of the history of Iran and America since 1979. Back in 1979, Iranian students took 52 American hostages and held them for 444 days. And they coincidentally were released when Ronald Reagan was inaugurated and took office because they knew Ronald Reagan was no Jimmy Carter. Fast forward to today, the last 47 years, the country's been run by mullahs and Muslim extremists. And this is what we have today. What President Trump is doing now is what the presidents previous to him since Carter didn't have the courage to do. And he's getting it done. So let's listen to Victor and see what he has to say.
And the key thing to remember is that what they produce and what they could produce, I think, are about, in today's levels, 7 or 8 million barrels short. So the Emirates and Dubai, they've had some damage, as has Oman, to the refineries and pipelines, and they want to get it back up and running and capture this high price of oil. So they are saying, I'm not going to restrict. I think in the case of Dubai, it's something like they're allowed to pump 2.5 or something, and they could pump 4. And if that starts a trend, and I think it will, when Venezuelan oil is coming on the market, the United States is pumping more, Canada is pumping more, you could see the price of oil not go any higher, even though the blockade continues, and it could go lower and start a panic. Because, again, if you've got 40% of the world's oil and it's 10 or 20% less production than it could be, they could, if there's no more OPEC, then you would get to the situation there was why they formed OPEC. Why did they form OPEC? Because everybody was trying to outproduce each other, and they drove the price down. So they created a cartel. So Saudi Arabia, I think, is the key because it's the biggest OPEC producer. But the world's oil now is governed primarily by the 3 largest producers. The United States is number 1. I think Russia's 2 and Saudi Arabia's 3. And Russia's pumping like crazy. We're pumping like crazy. And if Saudi Arabia gets in and these other OPEC, then that'll be a spinoff on the war that nobody talks about. There's so many spinoffs from the Iranian war. I mean, if you think about it, if they break up OPEC because of the war, if the Gulf Council, all 6 of those countries, starts to be in alliance with Israel and basically says, I'm more worried about Iran and you can help us with Iran, and I'm not worried about the crazy people in Gaza, that's a spinoff. Russia is completely out of the Middle East now, and it's out of Venezuela, and China is out of Venezuela. It's going to be out of Panama, and it's going to be out of Iran.
You see, folks, Trump has a really basic plan. And this plan is not about Iran or Israel or Ukraine or any country other than China. This is all about controlling China. And the country that controls the most of the oil production, as we learned from the oil embargoes back in the 70s, controls the world. If Trump can get control of all of the oil areas, and I don't mean necessarily control of Iran, but at least neutering them so they can't cause trouble and be a proxy for China. If Trump can get control of the oil, then the United States can help deter China from invading Taiwan, because we could choke off their oil supply and they'd be in trouble.
And so everybody who said that the war was a disaster, $50 or $60 billion to weaken some country that threatened the West in general, the United States in particular, for 47 years and killed really thousands of Americans if you count what they did with their shape charges in Afghanistan and Iraq, in addition to the terrorism. And if you could get rid of that government, and one of the ways you could, if they're losing, as estimated, $500 million in economic input per day, and their oil is now maxed out, and Carg Island is full, all their storage tanks are full. They can't get at their world fleet of tankers. Nobody can get in to buy it and take the oil off their hands, so they're trying to find wrecked tankers or trying to find anything to store it, because allegedly these older wells, if they can't pump, then the well collapses.
Okay, folks, I'm going to bring up something that I have not heard anybody say. Of course, there may be a good reason why we haven't heard anybody say it. It may be ridiculous. I don't know. Victor just talked about how if they stop pumping out of these wells will collapse and they won't be able to use them again. So what would stop Iran from just dumping it into the Persian Gulf, or dumping it into some other body of water, or just letting it run out on the ground? I mean, obviously it would be a catastrophe and it would be just the worst thing ever. But would you really put it past them? I wouldn't. So that's something we have to consider also. The environmental damage could be irreparable.
And they'll lose not just the oil production, but the investment. So that could happen as early as 2 or 3 weeks. So a lot of people in the Trump administration are suggesting that he just go home and say we won. But I think if he would stay at least 2 or 3 weeks, he'd still have 5 months before the midterm, and I think the price of oil will go down, and Iran will be desperate to make some type of concession. And so what everybody said, when you read, the war was terrible, it costly, it wrecked the Middle East, it's all untrue. It's just a result of kind of anger at Trump for various reasons, but we've never seen a more asymmetrical war in history.
Speaking of the critics of the wars, there is a CBS report out that the war was not as successful as the administration has presented it. And this is what they say, and I don't know what you think about this. Half the missiles and launchers are still operational.
How do they know
in
that?
reality.
Victor could not have asked a better question right there. How do they know? I'm sick and tired of these news people that get in front of these cameras or write these news articles that pretend they have all this information. They pretend they have information that no one else has. It's just ridiculous. I don't know why anyone listens to them. It's just absurd.
I don't
They don't know how many
This
are
is
there. They have no idea how
they're
many are
crazy.
there.
They say 60% of the naval forces, which are all those small boats that
Those are
are
those are
still operational.
You're talking about $300 or $400 million ships. Over 100 have been destroyed, and these motorboats are probably $300,000 or $400,000. It's nothing, and you can destroy them. What are they going to do? One of them is going to go up to a destroyer or a carrier. They're going to blow. If they want to, they can blow it up the moment it leaves port.
I
So
agree.
that's That's
That's
nothing.
ridiculous. And then the last thing they said in this report, 2/3 of the Air Force is still usable. Where they get that, I don't
Where they
know.
get that, I don't know. They say they're in tunnels or something.
I don't know. The Air Force in tunnels?
They yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, I've never seen a war, not even Vietnam when I was in high school, people really opposed and a lot of them wanted the North Vietnamese men, but I've never seen people so overt that they want the United States to lose and they want Iran to win.
And they want it to look like the United States is
Yeah,
losing. Yeah.
and it has a lot to do with the nature of the left is. It's like the '60s left. It's even creepier because it's got this Islamic, element in it. But if you actually look at dispassionately and you look at the entire Middle East, 500 million Arab Muslims, it's hard to find a country that's not on the side of the United States, even with Israel as an ally. That's what's so strange. They all are terrified of this Iranian Shia theocracy, and they're happy to see it defanged. And countries like Egypt or Jordan, they'll keep quiet about it. And the Gulf states will be quiet, but they're egging us on all the time, finish the job. They're giving us money to finish the job. They're helping the Israelis. They say, whatever you need, we'll help you. Just finish the job.
Finish the job. That's what they always say. Hey, United States, finish that job, will you? So Trump is going to finish the job. And it's my belief that he's going to finish the job by maintaining the blockade. He's just going to force them that way. But if he has to go back to military targets again, it's going to be just like the first few days was before. They're going to know where all the political people are. They're going to know exactly what bridges they want to take out. They're going to have this all figured out. There's only one reason all these oddities are getting together, with these strange bedfellows, getting together behind this whole Iran thing. It's Trump. They know Trump is going to follow through the best he can. Anything that's within his power, he's going to do it to get the job done. He has talked about this since the 80s. This is not Trump being manipulated by Israel or by anybody. You can look back at the history of Donald Trump, and nearly his entire adult life, he has said the same thing. Iran is going to be the troublemaker of the area someday. Well, someday is now. And now Trump can do something about it, and he will.
And
Yeah.
the only Iranian strategy is delay, delay, delay. And when everybody said, well, what are we going to do? Well, what can't we? That's the wrong question. It's what can we not do? You want to take out the bridges like Clinton did in Serbia? You could take them out tomorrow, all of them. You want to take out the power plants like Clinton did in Serbia? You could do it tomorrow. You want to take out all of the port facilities, destroy everyone? You could do it tomorrow. You can do anything you want. There's only one taboo, and that is nobody wants to put ground troops in there. And the other taboo is you don't know to what degree the status of the resistance is. So if you start to destroy stuff to hurt the regime, well, it hurts the resistance. That's the only consideration. But you can do anything you want to do. In fact, for the next 3 years, you could do anything you want to do if you wanted to attack Iraq. So when Chancellor Merz in Germany, who's all over the place, two-faced, he's like a one-eyed jack. You flip him over and he's got the opposite what he says. And now he says there was no strategy. There was no, just we went in there mindlessly. No, we went in there to do 4 things, and it was articulated again and again. We went in there to curtail or destroy their nuclear potential, to stop their ballistic missile and drone fleet, to stop their subsidizing of terrorist groups in the region, and to make them not a threat to the United States in general and the West, the United States in particular, and the West in general. And it seems to me that they're not going to be able to do much with their missile fleet if we're hitting the factories and the economy's ruined. And they have enriched uranium somewhere. I don't know where we're going. That's one thing we need to get. But we can always bomb that again and again and again. They don't have any money. If they're losing $500 million a day, the people are not going to allow that money to go to Hezbollah and Hamas and the Houthis. 50, 80 million a month. They're not going to allow that to happen. They'll go, and they have a population that's on the verge of revolt, and they've lost all of their command and control, first and second echelon. So I don't understand that we're losing, or we haven't done it, and we haven't suffered anything other than tragically 13 dead, period. That's it.
Yeah.
75% of the people who were wounded are back in action. So the left just keeps trying to glob onto things, but so does a lot of people on the anti-war right. The United States has just about shown the world with its military that has absolutely humiliated and devastated Iran. And the only problem is, to what degree do you want to inflict a level of damage to make it inert? Because if you do, then you're going to run up world opposition that you're destroying there's nothing left to destroy, basically, unless you want to go after civilian dual-use targets. But you couldn't inflict a greater level of damage by air than they have on the Air Force, Navy, Army, everything, and they can keep doing it at a very cost to benefit analysis. They're not going to lose airmen doing it. It's just a matter of, do you really want to bomb them back to the Stone Age? It's all self controlled. It's all, the restrictions and prohibitions are ours. They're on ourselves. They're the midterms, they're popularity, they're polls, they're people in Congress that come to Trump on the Republican side. Please, I'm in a purple district. You got to stop the war and get the economy on the front page, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But it's not a military problem.
No, it doesn't seem at
Iraq
all.
was a military problem.
Yeah.
Afghanistan was a military problem. Vietnam was a military program. We
Problem.
were using strategies and tactics that were not working, and they weren't. Afghanistan, we could not, we couldn't control the entire country. We can control the whole country by air if we want.
Well, folks, there you have it, all in a nutshell. I hope you found it informative. I'll leave you with one parting prediction. I predict that by the end of summer, so we'll say Labor Day, by Labor Day, gas prices will be under $3 per gallon. So if you stuck around to watch till the end, thank you. And don't forget to subscribe. Have a great day.